Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect. We are broadcasting live and recording this on a Sunday, August 25th, 2024. I'm Dave Lotz. Joining me for this is Michelle Hillard. How's it going, Michelle?
Good. Hi, everybody. Hello.
Sorry, I was all thrown off there. The music left my earphones and I don't know what happened. So anyway.
Random.
For those of you watching, this is going to be kind of a laid back affair. It was kind of a last minute decision. We didn't really have a show planned. We've been in major Dragon Con prep mode.
Dragon Con.
And at one point we were going to do this yesterday and now we're doing it today. This is my long way of saying that, again, this is going to be kind of a laid back chat. We'll probably talk about some things we've watched, like you saw in the title, Blink Twice. I haven't had a chance to talk about Alien Romulus yet. And then whatever comes to our minds. And a lot of that will probably be this last minute Dragon Con prep that we're going through right now, as Dragon Con is, a few days away. I'll just say a few days. So I'm not going to do the quick math in my head. Plus, what math do you do it to? Do you do it to Thursday or do you do it to Wednesday, which is the reality that it really is kind of getting started on Wednesday?
Yeah. I mean, technically, the convention starts Thursday, evening? 3 p.m., 5 p.m.?
I think you jumped around 4. I want to say 4, but maybe it is 5.
So, yeah, technically it starts in the evening on Thursday, late afternoon, early evening. But I mean, Wednesday's the new Thursday. I mean, I remember when it used to be, like you said, the convention used to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday was the new Friday, and then Wednesday is now the new Thursday. It's just kind of morphed into everybody likes to get there and kind of get settled in and kind of hang out and reacquaint themselves with the whole setup and the situation that's happening in Atlanta and Dragon Con and the hotels. And I mean, heck, we're getting there Wednesday night.
Yeah,
and
that's the plan anyway.
Yeah, at some point Wednesday night, who knows when, but at some point. And yeah, basically get in and get the vibes going and just enjoy.
Yeah.
So 3 days?
Yeah, 3 days. Sounds great.
We got this.
Whatever you said.
We got this.
3 days.
Yeah.
So I said it was going to be laid back. Cheers to that. We saw a movie the other night. Let's start with that.
Oh, you want to start with that one? Oh, okay.
Let's start with that. We saw Blink Twice. Okay. Oh, you seem sad.
I was curious about Alien Romulus from you, but
I can start with Alien Romulus if you like.
I would like to learn about Alien Romulus.
All right, fine. Alien Romulus it is. Saw Alien Romulus the night it came out. Mm-hmm. So it's been out for just over a week now. Yeah, this is its second weekend. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I saw it opening weekend. I would say I'm a big Alien fan. I'm not die hard. Oh my God. I don't own any Alien souvenirs, but I love the franchise for the most part. I've thought about after I've seen this movie, where would I what kind of order I would place those movies in, and maybe I'll get to that because I don't really have a good answer. Maybe I'll try to come up with a list here on the show.
It's been a big discussion with this one coming out. I feel like that's been everybody's been talking more about
ranking.
What ranking they would put the films in. And I feel like it used to not be that way, but this one seems to be how would you guys rank the Alien films? And it's I don't know.
Yeah, it does seem, I've seen a lot of that. And, that's also a whole conversation unto itself. But, and we probably will have that. Alien Romulus and I don't have any information up for the movie in front of me. Fede Alvarez is how you say his name?
Yes.
Director of the film, as I'm looking it up.
Let's go with that.
I'm vamping here. Yeah, he did that remake of Evil Dead that came out a few years back.
Yeah. You liked that one too.
I did, actually. I mean, I love the original Evil Dead franchise, and there's that part of me that feels like it's beloved and shouldn't be touched and be remade the way it was. But if you're going to remake it, I thought it was solid. So I had high hopes going into this movie, and I'll just say, and I should be clear too, anything we're going to talk about on this episode, Alien Romulus, Blink Twice, anything else, we're not talking spoilers. So if you haven't seen these movies, don't fret.
Don't worry, we're not going to
spoil anything.
That's not what tonight's show is about.
So no spoilers. My spoiler-free thoughts of Alien Romulus are, I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. It's not perfect. There are issues that I have with this movie that I can't talk about because we're not talking spoilers. All I'll say is this. Like as I was watching it, I want to say I was 30 minutes in and going, wow, like I'm really enjoying this. I'm already invested in these young characters. I say young. Someone like me, like as old as I am, they all basically seem like they're not teenagers, or they appear like they're in their early 20s, but yeah, it's a much younger cast. I was invested in what was going on with these characters pretty quickly. I was interested in this movie even outside of the alien element of it. I was early on in the film going, wow, I'm interested in this. And if we never had aliens in this movie, this could be a very good movie. It just happens to be that's what we're doing here. Right. The place where the movie, I think, kind of fails for me is its need to kind of deliver some fan service and to connect to the bigger Alien like universe franchise. Is all I'll say without talking spoilers. And I haven't talked to Bobby about this yet either. I know he's seen the movie, and I'm super curious to have a conversation with him about it. So I'm sure we'll talk about it while we see him at Dragon Con. Maybe we'll do a show or something. I don't know. But yeah, the movie's very good, but I think it could have been great if it had not felt the need to have these kind of like fan servicey connections in it, like connecting to a bigger alien story kind of thing. And again, I don't really feel like that's spoiling anything by just saying that. But that's all I'll say since I can't talk spoilers.
Okay. So in the, like, of all, with the alien films, it does kind of jump around in the years that they are taking place in. So Romulus, from what I understand, is actually taking place in between the original Alien film and the sequel Aliens. So it's taking place right in the middle date, in the fictional date that's in the future, very far in the future. It's taking place right in the middle of Ripley's story.
Yes.
But it doesn't have anything to do with Ripley. It's
she's
just
very asleep
timeline-wise
during this movie.
Right.
It is not a spoiler to say you do not see, you know nothing about Ripley in this film.
Right.
Has nothing to do with her whatsoever. But from what we know of the timeline, this is happening when she is drifting through space back to Earth. And
so as far as, like, what is it? The Weyland Corporation?
Weyland, I forget the other half of the name.
So as far as they know, all they know is that her, in the first film, the original film, the ship is blown up. And so, like, they don't know that she's encountered aliens because Aliens, the film, the sequel, hasn't happened yet in the timeline. So it's like, nobody knows about the alien.
Sure.
Okay.
I can't really.
Interesting.
I can't elaborate on that.
Sorry. Okay. I mean, I'm just making an assumption based off of a timeline here. I don't know.
I get what you're saying. And all I will say for someone like you who has not seen Alien Romulus, continue to, I guess, think about what could be going on here, but I won't respond. Okay.
So, yeah.
But yeah, the movie is gorgeous. I mean, cinematically, I saw it in IMAX. It wasn't filmed for IMAX with IMAX cameras, but it really does take advantage of the aspect ratio with some shots in particular. The shots out in space look great. I'll just say there's a planet with rings, and there's lots of shots of the rings and from various proximities to the rings, and it looks awesome. And I'm not just talking about cool like interstellar shots, like just shots of our characters on this station and what they're up to. Like it's shot very well. It looks really great. The movie overall, I'm very happy with, and basically I just feel that the pros outweigh the cons enough that I walked away still very happy with it. And yeah, it's also not a spoiler to say because I've seen so many TikToks of this now. There's a moment in the film that if you're lucky enough to still see the movie with a decent crowd, which now, over a week into its release may be harder and harder to do. I saw it opening night with basically a sold out theater. There's a moment in the movie that definitely gets a reaction out of the audience. And it's funny because I've seen so many TikToks that don't spoil the moment, but they're obviously just filming with their cell phone, not looking at the screen, and just so you could hear everyone react to this moment. And it really does happen. I guess I'm also bringing that up because, like I said, it's probably going to be hard to replicate that now that probably most showings aren't that packed.
Right.
But that was interesting. It's interesting to see that basically every showing is kind of getting that reaction out of this moment. But anyway, yeah, I liked it.
Do you feel that it is falling more in the science fiction or more in horror, or is this a happy marriage of science fiction and horror? Because they've pretty much said it's not a thriller, it is a horror film.
Yeah, I'd say it's a horror movie.
Okay.
For the most part.
Okay.
There's a lot of times in the movie too where it made me feel like I was at Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, really?
Walking through a haunted house. Like
nice.
Multiple scenes where I was like, yep, I could totally see that this is a room in a haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights. Okay, now here's another one that this could be a room.
Does Horror Nights have an alien Romulus?
Don't think so.
Dang, that is a missed opportunity.
It is.
That is a missed opportunity for them. Like, and I get it. Like when they plan Horror Nights, they have a whole year and they're trying to build these houses and the storylines to the houses and how they're all going to play out. Mm-hmm. And this is a film that just came out. Like Horror Nights, I think opened up the same night this film came out. I think, or no, it starts next week, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's started yet.
But still, the houses are. But it's like one of those things. Like I wish they could have foreseen this film coming out and maybe been like kind of ready. I don't know. It's kind of hard to do that though with a movie that's not already out for them to plan that. Maybe next year.
But you seemed, and I mean, even based on your questions, you seem interested in the movie, but yet you did not want to go see it.
So, I mean, I'm weird about horror films. I don't love horror films, and I definitely don't hate horror films. I think for me, a horror film, I really have to be in the right headspace for it. And I definitely am a chicken baby and prefer to be in my own home when I watch a horror film. I don't have to watch them during the daylight or something like that. But I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how I am going to emotionally react. And I don't know if I want to be in the movie theater for those sometimes. Okay. So I like to watch them at home. And like, I do want to see this film. I was like, I just don't really. I was not really in the headspace for it. And I was just kind of like, I'll watch it at home and I look forward to that day. But
I get that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm weird about horror movies. Some of them I'm cool with going to theaters. I don't know. I'm picky about horror films, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there's like scary films and thriller films like Long Legs, right? And I was already like, this movie's probably going to be scary. And then it turned out to be more of a thriller and not so much of a scary horror movie, which worked better for me.
But okay, so based on that statement, then I think I know the answer to my question. I was going to ask, is it really, though, more the gore side of horror or the scary side, or is it both? And it sounds like maybe it's both.
I would say the gore has a big part of it, but sometimes the scary
like jump scares are also
I don't know. I don't know. I think jump scares I don't know. It's like we watched, what was it? We watched X.
Yeah. We finally just recently watched X. And I still need to watch Pearl and then Maxine.
So old. We just watched X. We watched it at home and like I was totally fine with that film. But I could see watching that in the movie theater. I'd been like, oh God, oh no, I don't. And be looking away.
Right.
Whereas at home, I'm like watching it. I'm going, ew, that's gross, but I'm looking at it. But in a theater, it like weirds me out. I don't know what that is. I'm sure there's therapists out there that would love to figure that out, but I don't really understand what that's about.
No pressure for me to go see it. I was just curious since you really seemed to decide at the last minute, you know what, I don't want to see this in the theater. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
Maybe I was just looking forward to having a night for a few hours myself. I don't
know. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Alien Romulus without spoilers. I was going to say though too. I mean, all the acting I thought was pretty solid in the movie. In particular, what is it? David Janssen. Is that I'm assuming that's how you say his last name. Who plays Andy in the film? I think kind of steals the show. He was fantastic. But everybody's great. But his character in particular, I really enjoyed, and he had a great performance.
Nice.
So it's a solid entry. Again, I don't. So yeah, I've been thinking, how would I rank Alien movies? That's tough. I mean, maybe I'll say all this right now off the top of my head, but I'm also saying that I haven't seen Alien Resurrection in so long. Like,
I don't think I've ever seen Alien Resurrection.
I haven't seen Alien 3 in a very long time.
And I know I've never seen that movie.
So with that in mind, I never like making kind of an ordered list of movies when I have movies in that list that are like so far out of my memory now. That, I mean, don't get me wrong, I remember those movies and I remember how I used to feel about them, but I don't have fresh enough feelings on them to place them in an order. But so, I mean, to begin with, I might put those two at the bottom, maybe.
Right.
Just because I haven't seen them in so long. I mean,
I will say, I don't think the third one, David Fincher's third Alien, is a very beloved.
No, it's not.
One.
And actually, you know what? I don't know if it's not, but I don't know if I would put 3 so low, because I have memories of appreciating it for what it was.
Wasn't it like I think it was just too artsy for everybody in a weird way.
It also sounds like the production was a mess.
It does.
I don't know the facts behind the production. I've heard like, when they started shooting, that script wasn't even done. Mm-hmm. And right off the bat, you hear something like that, and I go, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
That sounds bad.
But I don't know how true that is. But I still remember like enjoying it, maybe for the David Fincher-ness of it. And if you know, at the time, he was, I think, mostly just a music video director who I don't think had much of a theatrical like filmography in his resume yet.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, maybe I'd put like Alien, and even Alien Resurrection. I was just gonna say, maybe I put that at the bottom. But like, I have memories of going, it's about what I expected, and actually, I thought I kind of enjoyed it for what it was as well. Like, it was a movie that came out, I think, in '97, and it really just kind of, I don't know, it plays into the late '90s feel of that movie.
It sounds like it's a very like '90s action film.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very quintessential 90s action hero film is what I've heard.
Yeah. So even that one, I feel like I like more than most people, but then on the flip side, so Prometheus comes out, and I remember going, okay, as a standalone movie, it's not great, but at the same time, I kind of really like it. And I remember like going, hopefully the next movie delivers the kind of answers to this mystery that Prometheus was like setting up. Mm-hmm. And there's just a lot of things about Prometheus I appreciate. I like the, like, we'll call it the history, right? The fictional history behind it all. Like I actually did enjoy that. I agree. Like I thought it was interesting. Right. But then Covenant comes out. And I should say, well, first, I've only ever seen, I think, Covenant once. And my memory is I did not like that movie very much at all. I don't think either of us did. I think we both had a very challenging time understanding many artistic choices in that film. Yeah. Put it that way. Again, having not seen Covenant in a little while, my memory is not that I had expectations for what they should do with the mystery that they set up in Prometheus. I want to be fair. I want to be clear that I'm not going into Covenant as that kind of fan that's like, well, this is what I think they should do, and if they don't do it, I'm going to be upset. That's not the case. With that said, I don't know. It felt like the decisions they made in Covenant to like kind of explain what the engineers were up to and what was going on. I remember being like, this feels like a cop out. Like this feels like, it felt to me like you were setting up possibly one thing with Prometheus, and then you kind of changed your mind in between movies and went some other direction just to kind of wrap it up very quickly. Instead of like making a trilogy of movies, we're going to make two. And I'm saying that I don't know if there was a plan for a trilogy. I don't remember the history of this. And then there's just choices in that movie that characters make that I remember going,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. That takes me right out of the movie because that really makes no sense. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and I can't even give you an example, but I just remember there were so many times as like I was watching, I was like, why would they do that?
I think if
no one would ever make that decision.
In particular, I do have a memory of there's people on the planet, and then there's people back on like the main ship, and then they like decide to bring the ship down to the planet, right? And I remember there was something about how that decision was made, that I remember going, no, sorry. No, I throw my headphones off. This is a terrible idea. No one would ever do this. Like stuff like that.
It was just like logically, like I'm not even talking like you have instructions for things like there's I'm not even talking like you went against a protocol. Logically, there were decisions that were made that they had the characters making that I was going, no, absolutely not. Right. Like, I don't think anyone would have. It was just weird. It was weird watching that movie. But I was like, yeah.
But you mentioned that we've been seeing a lot of like lists, everyone putting out there kind of like, their alien order of movies. And I have repeatedly seen a lot of appreciation for Covenant. Yeah. I've seen it pop up in the number 2 spot on at least a couple lists above Aliens. Like I remember, I think 2 lists were almost the same. I want to say 2 TikTokers I came across who were not just random TikTokers, like they're like film TikTokers that I've been following for a while.
Right.
And would put like Alien and then Covenant and then Aliens. And
sounds.
And it's one of those situations where I am more than happy to rewatch that movie with an open mind. In fact, I want to rewatch Prometheus and then watch Covenant.
Yeah.
And I will be the first to say that I was nuts the first time I watched it. I mean, and that's a possibility. Maybe we were in a terrible mood when we saw Covenant, or I don't know, some weird mindset that when we went into that movie and we just did not appreciate it for what it was. I will be the first to admit it if I see Covenant and enjoy it the second time around.
Right.
But as my memory stands, it would be very low on the list. I was not a big fan of that movie.
Yeah.
We recently rewatched Aliens, the 4K cut that
was really nice
was recently released. It was, though. I think rewatching that special edition cut, or I can't remember if it's labeled as a special edition or a director's cut. I can't remember. But after watching that version again, and I had seen it before, I do think I appreciate I think I enjoy the theatrical cut more.
Oh, okay.
The special edition cut includes this footage or scenes of the colony before they find the aliens. And so you also see Newt with her family as they're, except for like in the regular theatrical cut, when you meet Newt, it's when the Marines and Ripley find her, and you don't really know much about her.
Right.
I think I enjoy the theatrical cut better. But yeah, I still like Aliens quite a bit. Haven't rewatched Alien in a little while, but I've seen Alien multiple times. Alien is fantastic. So I can say right now, Alien is my number 1 movie on that list.
Easily.
That's not to say it just went downhill after Alien. I think I've enjoyed most of the franchise overall, but Alien's still number 1. And when it comes to Alien versus Predator stuff, I just do not care. Like, I have seen, I think, the first Alien vs. Predator, and I remember not really caring for it, and that was it for me. Like, I don't know if you ever saw those or care about those. But
I don't think I ever saw those because I was traumatized as a child when I watched Predator.
Were you?
I watched Predator. Okay, so you and I have had this conversation we both have seen films where we were way too young to have ever seen these films.
I think our generations in general can would say similar things. I think we were all watching stuff that now,
Yeah.
when I think about the movies that my kids see now, and I go, oh, wow, they haven't seen anything like the stuff that I used to
Right.
watch.
I mean, like, I think it's different. I think things started changing around the 90s babies, but I'll say the 70s and 80s kids, we were still watching stuff way before we probably should have ever seen it.
Yeah.
And to no fault of their own, my parents had left me and my brothers with a babysitter who is an adult woman with a child of her own. And I guess I couldn't sleep that night while my parents were on a date night. And the babysitter was, I think we were at her house actually. And I couldn't fall asleep. And she was watching Predator. And I think I wound up just watching Predator with her.
Oh, okay.
And and it's like in my timeline of my life, I know that I was in Germany, which means it was before I was in the 3rd grade. So yeah, that happened. I watched Predator at like 8.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
Yeah.
I think Predator
So I
came
think
out.
that kind of messed me up. And I've never really had an interest in Predator really ever since.
Have you rewatched Predator since?
I think I have watched it since like in high school. I finally gave in, like watched it with like a boyfriend.
Yeah, like,
or
we're watching
something.
that shit tonight if you haven't seen Predator, because that movie.
Like I think
is
I watched
great.
it like in high school with like a boyfriend at the time, and I was like, oh okay.
Oh,
well,
Predator is so good.
I think I almost had to watch it because I was like, I have to like put this to bed, and like, and I'm like good with it. But at the same time, like because I've just had no interest in watching Predator versus Alien films. I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
I was trying to think when did Predator come out? I want to say Predator came out in '89.
But you go with 87. I'll give it some time frame.
It was
here.
87.
Oh,
So you win.
dang.
So I know I did not see the Predator when it came out like in theaters, and I would have been 9. I probably, knowing how long it took things to go to VHS back in those days, I probably didn't see it until I was 10. And I remember, because I was a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan at the time, and I badly wanted to see that movie. And I remember my mom, I think it was my mom, was like, well, I'll watch it first and then see if you can watch it. And then I think she reluctantly agreed to let me watch it, but she told me like, hey, I'm going to tell you during certain scenes, you have to like close your eyes or something. And I then watched it the first time, like with this, situation of having to close my eyes during certain scenes. And I don't know how long it took. I feel like it didn't take very long, like maybe a year later, if that, for me to watch it all eyes wide open.
Right.
And I remember being like, this is nothing. Like I had to close my eyes for this. But I remember being super, like it made me more scared watching it when I finally just got to watch the whole thing, because I was thinking, man, some shit must go down. Like, what am I about to see? So I wouldn't say I was disappointed when I watched it, but I was a little like, oh,
that was it.
that was it.
That was it, Mom. Jeez.
Some skinned people hanging from trees and
Yeah, it's nothing.
No, I love that movie. I just didn't care about the Alien vs Predator stuff.
Yeah, I
just
never
seemed so
cared about that stuff.
gimmicky, kind of.
It's funny, like thinking back, like I remember I watched Terminator 2, and I was probably too young to have watched that movie too. Like I think I remember watching, kind of like the way you did. I think I remember watching Terminator 2 with my mom and her being like, okay, close your eyes.
Oh, really?
Like the first time. But then pretty shortly after watching it without her and then being like, oh, this is why she made me close my eyes. But then like, yeah, like there's the whole scene where she like has that dream about basically the atomic bomb going off, and like she's the skeleton holding on to the chain link fence. I remember going, oh, that was kind of weird as a kid. And then like there's the scene where Arnold like peels the skin off of his arm at one point, like from like his elbow all the way
to
down.
show off his,
I remember thinking that was really gross too. I was like, ugh. But not that Terminator 2 is like scary, but there's like weird stuff in it that happens, and I remember being like, ugh, why am I watching this movie? I shouldn't be watching this. But then I kept watching.
I mean, I was 12, I guess, when that movie came out, but I saw that in the theater. Like that was because that was an event film, and I remember we saw that. I remember seeing that with my parents. Actually, I think I saw that movie in the theater in Atlanta because we used to make fairly regular vacation trips to see relatives in Atlanta every summer. And I remember
like Stone Mountain's really close too. So
I remember I think we saw it while we were on a trip to Atlanta. Anyway.
Yeah, I definitely watched it on VHS. So I definitely watched Terminator 2 many times on VHS. Oh, we're old. Anyways.
Not that we have an agenda here, but anyways.
No. Going down a rabbit hole.
That's what this is all about, rabbit holes.
But we did watch a movie together this weekend. A new movie. That I would say is a, what do you call it, a thriller? Maybe not a thriller. Suspense?
Maybe. That's a good question. How would you
Okay, so we saw the movie.
categorize Blink Twice?
Yeah, we saw Blink Twice. It's Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut.
And she wrote it.
That's right. Man, that's awesome. I guess it's a suspense in a way. I don't know.
Does IMDb I don't think.
I mean, it does get violent.
They don't throw genre kind of.
I know.
Categories to movies.
I don't know what it would kind of fall into. Well, anyways.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
If you don't know what movie we're talking about, at first watch the trailer.
Watch the trailer.
And I think you'll be enticed to go see it based on the trailer, like we were.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see the kind of movie it is.
You don't really know what's going on.
Right.
The whole time. The trailer basically leads to what is happening here?
Right.
So, yeah, I guess I wouldn't say it's a mystery or anything, but it's definitely a suspenseful, what's the story here? What's really happening? I'll come out and say I actually really enjoyed it. The one thing I would say about this film though is, and they put a warning right at the very beginning of this film that it is it does
like a trigger warning.
A trigger warning for this film of domestic and sexual abuse. So that does happen. So if that is not your thing, then I would, trigger warning. It is something that happens in the film at some point. But overall, I really liked it, actually. It's weird. There's domestic violence and sexual assault in this film, and I really enjoyed it. That makes me sound like a weird, creepy human being.
Obviously, that's not what you mean.
Obviously, that's not what I mean.
Enjoy that in particular.
I followed it right up with, I love this movie. No, I really liked this movie. I thought it was interesting. Because you spend a good amount of the movie kind of going, where is this going to? And you're watching it and you're kind of picking up on things and you're like, okay, I think I have an idea of what's going on. And then it's oh, wow, I thought I had an idea and it's much bigger than that. Okay, wow. But it's a wow in a good way. I was very surprised in the way that it developed. But overall, no, I really liked it. I liked the storyline. I liked the way it goes through the story of itself, of this journey of this woman who has been whisked away to the private island of a tech gajillionaire who wants to let her hang out there for as long as she wants to, basically. Right. And party with him and his friends on his private island. And who doesn't want to just run away from their life for a week and go hang out on a gorgeous private island with a billionaire. And he's just paying for everything. You're like, oh, yeah. I mean, sign me up. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't want that? No, I thought it was very good. Actually.
I do not disagree. I would say I loved that movie.
I would agree with that. I think I actually love that movie. I thought about it so much since we watched it.
It really, no complaints almost at all.
Yeah.
You're going to watch the trailer for those of you who are listening to this or watching this and have not seen this movie, and maybe you don't even know anything about it. But this is the kind of movie that the big risk here is is the mystery is there going to be a good payoff, right? Because you know that obviously this is setting up what's going on here. Yeah. And this movie is going to end with
something just smashed into the window.
Something just hit our window.
I think it was a tree branch.
I assume it was a tree branch.
There's been storms.
If you're wondering why, if you're watching on YouTube and I'm looking over here,
we're both going, what is happening in the window?
What the hell just happened?
I think a tree branch just smashed our window. It didn't break the window, but it definitely clinged against the window, and it was really random. Sorry.
Sorry. Anyway,
because you paused and then we're both looking. We're both like, oh, what's happening? Anyways.
The movie, it's obvious the movie is setting up a bigger mystery, what's going on in this island, something funky is afoot. And the big risk here is that once it's revealed, it's either very predictable or it's just not satisfying in any way. And I was thoroughly satisfied with.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting enough. I didn't find I mean, for one, I try not to go out of my way to figure stuff like that out. I just want to I want to experience what the movie's giving me, right? But then sometimes you just can't help it. Like thoughts come that are super obvious. And I really didn't find myself watching this thinking anything. Like, I don't really know what's going on here. And once you get to the big reveal, it was better than I expected, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like you already said.
It definitely pays off. Like in the ending, you're just like, whoa, okay. And then it's like, dude, that's wow. And then it's like, wow, okay, that's happening too. And I'm being extremely vague because I don't want to give any spoilers.
Right.
But yeah, it's like it pays off well. The story goes in a direction, things happen, and I think it ended really well. Like it pulled it all together and you went, yeah. Yeah. That was satisfying.
I will say, though, in response, we have a commenter, Emily, who I don't know, to be honest, knowing the problematic ethics, I can't read that one word, most billionaires, I'd probably pass.
That's true.
Very true.
I don't really actually want to hang out with them. I just want the perks of their money and their island and not having to have responsibilities of my life for a week. But I don't actually want to hang out with Jeff or Elon.
You don't want to hang out with Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg.
I'm good.
No,
they could like drop me off and be like, all right, here's some of my weird friends, and there's a private chef and a pool's over there, and here's your private, hotel suite. I'd be like, and he's like, I'm gonna go for a week. I'll be like, okay, bye. He's like, I would love, yeah. Okay, but yeah, no, I don't actually want to hang out with them. They are kind of weird.
I will say the trigger warning is a wise move.
The trigger warning was a smart move.
Because again, we are not talking spoilers, but once you see a scene that is, the reason that trigger warning is there, it's unsettling. And
it is.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say, you could argue maybe the trigger warning is a bit spoilery in that respect. Because it's not though. Like, it's
not, because it could be alluding to something that happens in the matter of a few seconds, or it could be something that happens repetitively through you don't have any clue. You just know that it's going to at some point exist in the film.
Right.
I'm glad they put it there because it is
definitely think they should have put it there. That was a wise choice.
It was a wise choice. I think, for victims of sexual abuse, domestic violence, I think having those kind of warnings in front of more shows and things is a smart thing to do, because there's a lot of people that have gone through those situations. And yeah, in a way, I guess it could kind of spoil an episode of a series or a film. But at the same time, like, if you have a story you're trying to tell and it does convey something that could be quite unsettling to people in a way that they may not realize is going to happen, I think it's a good thing to warn them.
Definitely.
So no, I think that was a smart move on the creative choice to do that.
I don't know if that was Zoe's choice or the studio or both.
Both probably, but it was wise. It was wise.
Definitely wise.
And yet, yeah. I can't really. You can't really talk about the whole movie because you are kind of wondering what's happening in this film.
It's a big mystery, we're not going to touch on really a lot of details. But I'm not familiar with the lead actress of the movie. I don't think I've seen her in anything before. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I almost wondered if she was in Get Out and played the housemaid, but I could be wrong.
Well. Her name, the actress's name is Naomi Ackie. Is that how you say her name? I gotta remember.
I think it's Ackie.
Is it Ackie? I apologize if I'm saying that wrong.
She's got that cute gap in her teeth, and I think it's the same actress. But
yeah, I don't know though if that is her. I don't think I see it on her resume, or at least on IMDb. But I guess apparently I've seen her in The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know what character she was, but
who knows?
Anyway, mostly a new actress for me, and she was great.
She was really
Everyone
good.
was great in it.
Yeah, Channing Tatum was really good in it. It's funny. What's that guy who was in Florida Project? Simon Rex.
Simon Rex.
And he seems to be popping up in a lot of movies
yeah.
lately, which is super
You're
random.
not thinking of Florida Project. You're thinking of
Oh, not Florida Project.
Same director,
Bottle or
but-
Rocket, right?
yeah, Red Rocket.
Red
Is
Rocket.
that what, yeah.
It's the same project, same director. Yeah, Red Rocket with Simon Rex in it. And it's funny because it's like he was just 90s MTV VJ, and then like now his like career, I don't want to say it's taking off, but he seems to be popping up in a lot of films lately, and it's just really kind of random.
Yeah.
Like Haley Joel Osment's in this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's an interesting collage of actors that are in this film. There is that woman actress that she's in Andor.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't think of her name.
Can't think of her name either. Terrible.
Dang it. She's in Andor, and she's another female cast in this film too. And I thought she was really good in this film too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's very good.
She plays like a reality show chick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I
think the problem with
funny.
because I've definitely seen her name before, and
Yeah.
I think the reason it doesn't stick is because it's whenever it's a name that I have a hard time pronouncing, then I don't.
Your brain doesn't latch onto it.
latch onto it because her last name is like Arona, like Adria Arona, I think. Anyway, we're not going to spend the whole show trying to think of her name. But yeah, she was great. The cast was great.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was great.
I think Zoe hit it out the park. I think the script was good.
Did. I mean, part of me was like, we came out of the theater, right? And I enjoyed it a lot and was like, well, I had not seen a thing about this movie in terms of reaction before we saw it. And I'm not saying that like, oh man, that's a bad sign, because I just really didn't seek out like reviews, and I just I didn't happen across any, I mean, I follow like the major trades and other YouTubers and people on Instagram who post their reviews, and for whatever reason I didn't come across like a review title or anything for this movie. So I was going into it also going, well, I don't really know what the general like feel is for this, like I do for most movies. Usually
Right.
I'm going into it going, well, I kind of know that most people are already enjoying it or not.
Right.
So we came out of it and I loved it. And I'm like, I'm almost scared to look at the Rotten Tomatoes
Right.
score.
Mike, are we crazy?
I'm like, am I crazy? Or what? And then I see it and I remember being kind of disappointed because I think at the time it was like in the upper 70s.
Oh,
And-
really?
And it's probably changed because I also think that at the time it didn't have a ton of reviews yet. It was like 50 something reviews.
I feel like this film was a quiet film that kind of snuck up on everybody, honestly.
Right now, with 150 reviews, it's sitting at a 78% as of this
That's pretty
recording.
solid, though.
It's a very solid rating, to
honestly.
be clear. But when I enjoyed it as much as I did, I was like, man, this should be a 90 at least. Like,
I would
I enjoyed it
would
that
have hoped
much.
it would have been like a 86 or 87 from critics.
right.
It's solid. I liked that. It was one of those films. I saw the trailer a long time ago, and I guess you hadn't even seen the trailer, right?
No, I think I saw it when you saw it.
Okay. And I remember thinking, wow, that looks really interesting.
Mhm.
And then I was kind of like, I don't want to know anything else about this film. So I kind of like didn't pay attention to stuff. And then I almost forgot that this film was coming out. You're like, oh, hey, I booked that film. And I was like, wait, which one is that? And I had to almost like, it took me a minute to think about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, that film. Okay, yes, I do want to see that, but I want to know nothing about it because it looks like a movie that if I know nothing about it, it's going to pay off for me. And I think it did, honestly. I mean, what you get out of the trailer is that it's a chick going with a gazillionaire guy to
Right.
his island. That's all you get from the trailer.
And I know us, and we have a few days, this was Friday night when we saw it, right? And it was still like a few days out before we're leaving for Dragon Con, but I know us and I know like how busy I already feel, like not stressed, but like, man, I got to get ready and I got to do all this stuff before we go. And there was a part of me that's like, I want to see this movie, but maybe I just gonna skip a movie for tonight because I just want to like relax, but also get ready for Dragon Con. And I remember sitting in the movie toward the end of the movie thinking, okay, I'm super glad we saw this.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe it was even halfway through the movie, and and I was already like, this is solid. I really would doubt that this is going to go downhill. Like, just the talent of the edit and everything was such that I was like, there's no way this is going to get bad. Like,
yeah, the editing was really good. I guess the story itself, just the way it unfurls and goes on, and the editing of it is really good. It's really good storytelling. Again, like I'm way impressed with Zoe's writing and directing. And obviously, I don't know who her editor is, but give them a pat on the back because good job, buddy.
Did you see that? Like even Taylor Swift posted about it.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, did she get the Swifties all up on it?
I guess I should say, like, I was just a second ago going, I had seen no reactions before seeing this movie, but I had seen Taylor Swift's post on Instagram.
Funny.
I think it was in her stories because I'm looking at her Instagram right now and I don't see it. But I think it was in her stories, and it was basically like I think an image of like the poster, but then this kind of like little write up of like why you should go see this movie and how good it was, and giving Zoe praise for the film, and that was kind of cool.
It was good, man.
Yeah, I'm
glad we went. Like,
oh, totally,
dude. I walked out of there. I was like, dang, that was good. I'm glad we went to that one.
And yeah, it does. It was hard not to watch it, and it had this did not remind you of like seeing Get Out for the first time.
Yeah, it has that feeling.
Kind of feel about it.
Like I remember
it's that kind of movie.
Yeah, I remember we walked out to Get Out. It was that like I feel like I can't remember if we waited to ask each other what we felt about that movie or not. But I remember walking out to Get Out and just being like, God, I can't wait to talk about this movie. I remember it was just like, oh, I cannot wait to talk about this movie. And like that's how I felt the other day. I was like, oh. And I wanted to talk to you about it in the car so bad. I was like, I can't, but I want to so badly because I really liked it. And I like that feeling. I like when I see a good film like that. And I'm just like, oh, that was an interesting story. That was quite the little ride we just went on. I like that. It's
not fun. That, and I'm going to do it, but not that they need to be compared in any way. But I would say, I think if I had to compare them, I think Get Out is a little bit better of a film than this, but that's nothing against Blink Twice. I really enjoy Blink Twice quite a bit.
Yeah. It'd be curious to see like if Get Out hadn't existed, what I would think of this film. And then if Get Out came out like after this film, like what I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I were to compare the two films, I would say that Get Out, but by such a slight itty bitty bit. Like, I don't know. This was really good.
So yeah, we saw that. There was some new stuff that's happened recently that I could definitely bring up, but at the same time, we're about to do a panel at Dragon Con where we're probably going to talk news.
We're going to talk a lot of news.
So we're probably not going to talk about any news on here.
But you know what we can talk about?
Dragon Con.
We can talk about Dragon Con.
Yeah.
We are in Dragon Con Crunch.
We are Dragon Con Crunch. And I should have started off this episode by mentioning, by the way, I'm terrible about promoting ourselves. We are doing a panel this year at Dragon Con. We are recording our podcast live during a panel on the digital media track Friday night at 7 p.m. in Galleria 6. So please come check us out if you're going to be at Dragon Con. We're going to be talking movie, TV news, I'm sure. We're probably also just going to be talking, I'm sure, to Bobby about his thoughts on his first Dragon Con. Mm-hmm. So Bobby Jackson will be there at his first Dragon Con. And I'm sure we'll just also talk to him a little bit about what he thinks so far, even though at the moment of the panel, he will have only been there for 24 hours, but still in 24 hours, he can quickly get a sense of what did I get myself into. And I'm curious to hear his thoughts.
It'll be so interesting to hear because I feel like your first 12 hours at Dragon Con are very like, what did I just get to? And then in 24 hours, you're like, okay, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling the vibe. So I think he's going to be at a pretty good place when we do the show. And then it'll be interesting when we all get back, when we have our Dragon Con hangover show, basically. And we talk about what his overall thoughts were at the end. That's going to be fun. But I'm excited for the panel. I'm excited to be doing a panel. I say panel because we don't run panels. We're doing our show live there. I don't know. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I think we're gonna have an audience. I think we have a couple of people
I think a couple of people will show up.
It's funny because, we go live on YouTube and stuff like that, but we don't have an audience of people in front of us.
Right in front of us.
We're in our studio at our home. And so it's going to be interesting. And I don't think there's going to be very many people, but I think we have friends that we know are going to come. So I think it'll be interesting to have friends in the audience staring at us while we do our show.
I wonder how I'll feel about it.
It'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. Yeah. My mind is going places, but well, because I have
different.
I have a background in talking in front of audiences. I used to work at a now dead attraction at a whole section of that park is now gone at Hollywood Studios. At the time, it was Disney MGM Studios, the backlot tour. And I forget how many people we could fit on one of those shuttles. But I would
solid amount of people.
I would do spiels on, we call them shuttles. They were trams. But it was it was a decent amount of people. And I got very comfortable doing spiels every day on that attraction. Never had a problem. But yet there's other times where like anxiety and nervousness definitely will kick in. I officiated a wedding, I forget how many years ago that was now. And I was fine. Like I went into it totally prepared. I really wasn't even nervous about it. And I remember in the middle of the ceremony, like as I'm like reading off like a couple paragraphs of stuff, like I was shaking. And even in the moment, I'm like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
like it was super weird. So that thinking about that makes me go, is something like that going to happen because we're doing a show in front of a live audience? I don't think so, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
It's weird. I bring that up because I'm curious if anyone else has that kind of experience where it's like, you're not even that nervous, but yet your body is reacting.
Right.
In a to your anxiety, I guess.
Yeah. It's like, it's trying to compensate a fight or flight kind of response, basically.
Right.
And you can kind of keep a cool head yourself in that moment, but your body could give away other things. Yeah, I think overall it'll be fine. I think if anything, it's just going to be funny because I think the people I think are going to end up coming are going to be our friends. And I think they're going to be they're going to be all giggly and like having a good time. And
right.
I think that'll be I'm hoping it's actually not going to be too much of like a distraction from our conversation with them. I think we'll be fine. I don't think I'm going to get nervous in front of people. I think mostly because I know it's probably just going to be like 10 people at the most. Even
if it's not, though, like a lot of I don't know. It's Dragon Con, and I feel like
we could fill a room. Who knows? The
vibe of the convention is such that I think it makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the best way I could put that.
Yeah.
I'm not nervous about the panel. I think we'll be good.
Well, I think it's also because we're doing our show,
right,
and we're not hosting a panel. Like you're not going to be a moderator on this panel. And you're asking questions to like people that like
right,
are within a field of expertise or knowledge or whatnot. Like it's just us having our normal conversations. So I think that'll be fine. Like I said, if anything, what'll be interesting, it'll be our friends, I think, kind of giggling and being distracting.
Right.
I think that will actually be the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah, no, we should be fine.
But I feel the pressure of the packing. The packing is real. The stress is starting to get.
It is, but this year we're definitely doing less cosplay, and
that
not that we're like, not that we've ever been like a lot of people are. I mean, because there's a lot of people I follow, cosplayers, that will go out of the way before convention and they kind of show a menu of like, okay, on Thursday in the morning I'm going to wear this, and on Thursday in the afternoon I'm going to wear this, and like it'll be at least 2 costumes a day. And I mean, we're nothing like that.
There's people that literally do like, we have a friend, he's doing 4 costumes on one day.
Oh, really? I don't think I know who that is. He's doing 4 costumes in one day.
4 costumes.
That's insanity.
I would agree with that.
I'm curious to know who you're talking about. Anyway, I mean, in the past couple of years, though, I think we've both done a decent amount of costumes.
I feel like I usually have one each day with like one day maybe I'm not, but overall I would have one costume a day basically.
At least the last couple Dragon Cons I've had like enough cosplays for one a day. And then there were like maybe one time where like in a day I wore something during the day, but then I changed to something else at night.
Right. I would do that a lot too. I think because we hang out more at night. During the day, it's like we help volunteer, or we're going to panels and we're just sitting. And I think we like to dress up more for the evening and the fun stuff later in the parties.
But yeah, we talked about this on our Dragon Con show that we did a few weeks ago. We're marching in the parade for the first time this year, which if there's something I'm nervous about, maybe it's that. Because I don't know what we've gotten ourselves into. Like, we've never marched in the parade. And
I think it'll be fun.
This isn't a knock against Dragon Con, but there's definitely a lack of kind of information about what you're signing up for when you sign up for the parade. Because, you know, I don't know. I knew nothing about the parade. And I've seen every year around what part of the year they throw out, okay, parade registration is open. And I knew that was coming up for this year when it came up. And then like that day arrives. And then I remember seeing like a post maybe on social media or the email or both going, okay, parade registration is open. And I just kind of like, screw it. I just jumped on there and registered the both of us to march in the parade. And it asks you like, what are you wearing? And I'm like, all right, Ghostbusters. We're going to wear Ghostbusters costumes that we put together. And not knowing how that works, because from my perspective, I guess I always assumed like, especially these different costume groups kind of do it as a group, and you have to be like maybe a member of that group. Like the 501st is an easy example. It's a very organized
the 300
costuming group for Star Wars, or the 300 that we see, the Dragon Con 300, I think as they're called. We see a Dragon Con.
They're a major group there. Yeah,
they're a major group there. And I guess I always assumed like, you know, the 501st, for example, will register that, hey, we're going to have this many people march. And then amongst themselves, they figure out, okay, who all gets to go march in the parade. And in this situation, we just kind of signed up for the parade. And I guess we just probably will walk over to wherever the Ghostbusters are and walk with them. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to expect.
I was going to say, like, I didn't know what to expect until I got into the Dragon Con Ghostbusters group yesterday. And it sounds like they're basically like, okay, if you were okayed for the parade and you're a Ghostbuster, just come and we'll just kind of meet up together. And it sounds like that's kind of what's going to happen. Like,
and I figured that's what's going to happen, but because I've never done it before, I'm just kind of like,
I think, you know, he put out like basically saying like, you know, this is the shuttle you're going to want to get on between this time and this time. If you get on a shuttle past this time, you're going to be late and you're not going to make it. Don't even bother.
Right.
And that's just facts. And so, but he made it sound very much like, you know, once you're there, just come on over and we'll all just kind of group up and go. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's pretty chill. Parades aren't like hard to pull together, really.
Oh, I know, but
I know, I think it's
having not done this one before.
Yeah.
I don't know what the weather will be like. It'll be the one thing.
Yeah.
You know, I spent some time on our last episode talking about how, like, I get the complaints that, oh, Atlanta's hot, but really you can experience Dragon Con basically indoors at all times, stepping outside for very small amounts of time, and you're fine. I think the exception would be like when you wait in the line for badge pickup. If you are stuck outside for a while, that can get hot for sure.
Badge pickup can get hot. We've had some times where when we were not volunteering, we had badge pickup where we've waited outside. And by the time we finally got close enough, it was like, okay, I'm really glad we're almost in the building because it's hot.
Or the wait in the line for America's Mart. I think there's something about where that line is around that building and the way the buildings are where if I just have memories that it's much more shaded.
Yeah, you're in the shadow of that building for most of that line.
As opposed to the line for badge pickup.
And there's
parts where it's a lot more open.
A lot more sunshine.
Anyway, this will be now the big test of like, okay, we're actually going to be in costume, walking. I don't remember how long the route is. It's like a couple miles or something.
I think it's
like 2.5 or
3.
I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out. And yeah, and you're gonna have your pack on.
Yeah, you don't have a pack with your costume yet, but I have a pack, and I'll be wearing that.
I mean, I guess I could wear that Spirit Halloween pack that we have. But part of me is like, meh.
I only say that not because Spirit does have a good pack, but it's an adult size pack. That the pack you're referring to that we have, my son wore, and it's not the adult size pack. It's
that's right. It is the kid. That's right.
So
I do remember that
on you, I think it will look.
Did get the kids pack, so I will not have a pack, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I have my spectrometer.
Yeah, your PKE meter.
My PKE meter.
So yeah, we're doing that. That'll be interesting. That is our big new thing this year for us.
It's funny because it's like, oh, this should be a pretty chill con. We don't have very many cosplays. Like I'm basically just doing the Ghostbuster cosplay, and you've got you're gonna go as your Obi-Wan or just a Jedi.
It is an Obi-Wan robe that I've never worn. It's the one I picked up at Galaxy's Edge, and it's technically like Obi-Wan's like outer robe and his tunic, and I at one point got the pants and the boots and everything for it. I've yet to wear that costume, and finally this year I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wear Obi-Wan. I have a second Jedi costume that I'm gonna bring. I don't think I'm gonna wear it, but I'm gonna have it with me in case there's one of those moments at night where I'm like, I want to wear something. I'm gonna throw it on. Screw it. Like, that's never happened. But that's all I'm bringing.
Yeah, I just have the Ghostbusters one. But it's interesting because part of me is like, oh, this is going to be a pretty chill con. But then I'm like, oh, wait, we're in the parade for the very first time. Oh, yeah, the night before the parade, we're doing a show live. We're doing our show. I'm like, that's a first. And then
Bobby's going to be there.
And then Bobby's there, and that's his first year. And it's like, it's an exciting con for us. I mean.
And we're back at the Marriott, too.
And we're staying at the Marriott. We've been staying there forever.
Yeah. I wouldn't say forever, but yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. We stayed there 2 years ago.
That's right. We're the first one back from COVID, right?
Yeah.
In 21.
But this past year, for the hotel sales for this year, for 2024, was the most difficult I've experienced.
It was rough this year.
And I'm sure there's lots of you out there that are like, no, I've never had luck. And I've heard that. But for whatever reason, the universe has saw to it that I've always been able, whenever I've tried to get a Marriott room, for example, the years I've tried for Marriott, I've gotten one. And this year, no. And then I go and I try to get a Westin room, and that didn't work out. And I've had previous years where the Westin rooms will linger for like a couple hours. And this year, if I remember right, the Westin rooms were snatched up really fast.
They were.
Yeah, this year was rough. And, but we ended up with a Marriott room from
thanks to a friend of a friend.
Thanks to a dear friend of a friend, and we appreciate it greatly. Yeah. And we're looking forward to it. I like staying at the Westin. I read the Marriott. It's it's in the middle of everything. And if you're the kind of person that doesn't enjoy like hearing the kind of rumble of the con when you drift off to sleep, and maybe it's not for you.
Right.
And I say that I've never stayed in like one of the rooms that are way high up. You could probably stay at one of the higher floors and it wouldn't be that bad. But I
feel like we've always wound up in the under 30 floors.
Yeah.
So you do hear a little bit of a hum. I don't know. I kind of equate staying at the Marriott to like, you either like staying at the Marriott. I think it's the same people that like New York City. You know what I mean? Well, because Manhattan is not for everybody.
No, it's not.
And I think the Marriott is not for everybody. But I think it's like, if you're a person that you're like, I enjoy the bustle and the hub and the hum and the being in the center of the universe kind of feeling of Manhattan, you're probably going to like that same feeling at the Marriott, because it kind of is the non-official center of Dragon Con in a way. I think it's just because it's the middle hotel, the three hotels that are connected through the walkways. And it also has the biggest hangout atrium of the three hotels.
Right.
I think technically, it space-wise on the floor it does, because the Hyatt does have a huge, it goes up pretty high, but I think the space doesn't allow for the same amount of people to gather. And so I think, yeah, it just is. It's just kind of become its own little center of the Dragon Con, world. And I like staying there. It's fun. It's fun to see people kind of hustle and bustle in the morning, and at the end of the night, kind of see like the carpet cleaning guys coming out, and then the people who are leaving the rave, and they're kind of walking around the carpet cleaners, and they're trying to make it back to their rooms. And that's always fun to watch at like 5 a.m. Like if you're up for some random reason, which has happened. I've woken up and I've been like, and I'll just like peek out the door and go, look at all the cool things happening. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting hotel to stay at during Dragon Con.
Yeah, so we got that, and we're almost done packing. Yeah,
we're super
almost done.
Yeah. I mean, I think I feel better now that we had this weekend where, we did like our snack shopping, and we got all of our snacks for the hotel room, and we have the bins are kind of sorted with kind of like the pre-packing of the bins, and things are kind of organized. And this is the snack / we'll call it the pantry bin. It's got some of the liquor in it. It's got like, the dish soap to wash stuff if we need to. I think, it's the pantry bin. And then there's, the cosplay bins are kind of stacked and ready to go. It's just kind of nice seeing the bins kind of ready to come together, and our costumes are, airing out, air freshening, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. It's like, I feel better. I think it's just now it's like, okay, I just need to do my laundry and then just pack myself my toiletries. Like I have a list, so I know exactly what toiletries to just throw into the bag, and that's easy to do now. And so I'm feeling better than I did on like Friday. When I was at work on Friday, I was like, I kept thinking of all the stuff I needed to do. I was like, oh, we need to do this. Oh, we need to do that. Oh, we need to do this. Oh, we need to do that. And now that we've like, we've had a couple little random Amazon deliveries, and I had a pickup at Target for some stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we've got everything now. We're good.
Have you looked through the schedule much?
That is what I need to do. And I figure on Wednesday while you're driving, I'm just going to go through the schedule and start. Because like at work, I just don't have time to do that kind of thing. In the evenings, my brain is just mush. So I think, I'm going to do that Wednesday. Have you looked through the schedule?
Not much. As things have popped in my head, I've tried to seek out, like for instance, today I remembered randomly, I'm like, oh yeah, what's his name? Voltaire is doing a performance. Right. And I was like, you know what? I want to go to that this year. So
we always mean to go.
I looked up when that is, which is Saturday night. But other than that, no, I have not like gone through like most of the schedule to see what I want to do, which usually for me involves going through main programming. Okay, what's the main programming stuff? And then like because you can go through the whole schedule and have all the tracks turned on, but man, it's a lot. And I tend to just go through it track by track. Like, okay, I know Star Wars. What Star Wars panels do I want to go to? Okay, now Star Trek or Space Track or Science Track, and
high fantasy.
I do it that way. So I haven't done that yet. I'm hoping to make it to the game stuff this year. It's been a couple years or more since we've made it over to the game room. It's super pathetic.
Well, they moved it a couple of cons, and now they're taking it back to America's Mart again. And I think that's smart. I feel like that has worked out the best. I want to check that out. What were you going to say? I was going to say, it is back at America's Mart this year, right?
Was it not? I didn't know. I think
that they moved it a few times.
Okay. I mean, back when I first started going to con, it's where we are now. Digital Media Track. It's down in the basement of the Hilton is where it was. And then I remember when it moved to America's Mart, and I thought it had been there ever since, but maybe it's moved around in different parts of the America's Mart. I don't know.
I feel like maybe it moved over to the Westin and it didn't do well, and now it's going back to America's Mart.
I think it's always been at America's Mart since it moved over there. I think it's just moved to different parts of the America's Mart, like different sections or something. I could be wrong.
And America's Mart is huge. That's the problem. Okay. Anyways, no, I want to do that. There's a lot of things that I want to do, and I'm excited to take Bobby to a party. He can experience a Dragon Con party. Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and we were able to secure our hotel room for Monday night, which wasn't the original plan, but now we're going to stay there Monday night, which I'm looking forward to. very much.
I much rather.
I way prefer. We talked about this when we did the How to Dragon Con episode a couple weeks back. How I threw out that recommendation. Like, if you have the vacation time and you can afford it, if it's in your budget to stay in an extra night in your hotel, I recommend it.
I think especially if you're at one of the main host hotels. If you're one of the host
hotels, other than, I'm sure checkout at the Cortland is super easy for the most part. Just with the setup of that hotel, I don't think it's as bad.
I mean, we've done it and it wasn't that bad.
Right. And it was especially easy because we were on like a floor level room. We were in a pool view room.
Yeah.
And I know there are some rooms a couple floors up or something. I know it's not a very tall hotel, but maybe there's some where you still would have to deal with elevators. I don't know. But yeah, if you're staying at the Hilton or the Hyatt or the Marriott, and I would imagine, or the Westin, checking out on Monday sucks.
It's a mass exodus. I would say there's about 80% of the con goers, if not 90%, that check out on Monday. So if you realize that you're checking out of a hotel with only so many elevators and there's that many people that are all leaving in the same 5-6 hour time period, it's a lot. It's a lot.
And it can be done smartly. I'd say it sucks. And I'm sure there are many of you that are like, you just got to know how to maneuver it. And that's absolutely true. Like,
we've had bad years and we've had good years.
If you are staying at the Marriott like we are at this year, and you know you're leaving on Monday, if you just get your stuff downstairs early enough to beat the rush on the elevators, you'll be good. Or like in previous years, I've taken things down to my car the night before. Mm-hmm. Just so all the big things are already down there.
Yep.
But then the problem for me is like them having to do that Sunday night or really early Monday. And I kind of like to extend my con experience and not be thinking about that yet.
Sunday
and you're
night,
gonna have plenty of time to do. You're gonna have plenty of time to think about that Monday night when there's really nothing going on. Because trust me, it is kind of weird when everyone disappears, and you're like, oh wow, like just like that, everyone is gone, and you're gonna just be like in your room packing, and that's fine.
Yeah, like Sunday night, there's still parties going on. There's still a lot of activity, and you want to kind of be out and doing things. And like to be in your room packing is kind of depressing. Okay. Like you're like, I'm missing a party for this, like. So I mean, and at the same time, like, do what you got to do for sure. But like, yeah, the years that we've like packed on Sunday before and then like had things ready, on one side, it made leaving Monday much easier. The downside is, you miss some of the time Sunday evening. But I will say, if you are at a host hotel and you have the time and you have the money and you can do it, stay Monday night. It does empty out. But at the same time, there are some people like us that hang out. And then there's a lot of people that hang out and go do other things in Atlanta on that day. While restaurants are a little bit dodgy because it's Labor Day, it's a holiday. If you kind of plan a little ahead, there's other things you could totally do in Atlanta on Monday.
Right.
And like have a whole just Atlanta day to just enjoy Atlanta and do that kind of stuff. There's breweries that are open. You can go hang out at a brewery or go shopping or go. I'm assuming that the aquarium would be open. Like, I don't know. I'm assuming maybe Coca-Cola is open. I don't know. But these are things that you should go venture out and enjoy and see what you can do. And then Monday night, when it really is a ghost town, hang out in your room and put on Dragon Con TV from your subscription and pack up. And yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, that's the Dragon Con TV of it too is like another depressing part. Like we'll have Dragon Con TV on in the room like the entire weekend. We talked about this before as well. It's just we're the kind of people that
it's on the whole time.
When I go in the room, I put it on and it's just on and it's a part of the vibe and I like it that way.
Yep.
And I want to be disconnected basically from the rest of the planet and don't really want to watch news. Yep. So I'm just leaving on Dragon Con TV. And then when you stay through Monday night into Tuesday, like when the con ends at 5, officially, I think at 5 of the afternoon on Monday, like Dragon TV turns off. And it does that whole like static logo thing for a while, I think.
It does it for like 20 or 30 minutes and you have the static logo. And
it's just kind of sad.
It is kind of sad.
You're so used to watching Dragon Con TV and you're like, wow, not only is everyone gone, but couldn't you guys just come on, can you guys just hang out for the night and leave this on for the night? Like for those of us who stay here.
Random stuff.
Like,
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, if you get a streaming membership, you could throw it on your computer or something.
And the streaming membership is only $10 for a whole year. 365 days for $10.
Very cheap. They're giving it away. Basically.
They are basically giving it away. It is it is quite the deal. Like of all the streaming things you pay for, think about that. Like a whole year for $10.
Bobby Jackson's watching, by the way. He says me. He says me too. So I assume that's me too. Looking forward to going to parties. I think is what he's responding to.
That's right. Party.
I think that's what he was responding to. So hi, Bobby, if you're still watching.
But no, we're in the Dragon Con vibes in the house. I had to leave the house at one point today, and I came back, and you had the that one guy who does the really good like video.
He hasn't done them in a while though.
But he has such good videos. He has such good Dragon Con videos.
You're referring to Beatdown Boogie.
Yes.
I think is his YouTube account.
We should reach out to him and be like, you're doing 2024, right, man?
I don't. So I looked today when I looked up his account, and he hasn't done one, I think, in 4 years. I don't think he's posted nothing to his channel in 4 years. So basically right before COVID, I think COVID happened, and I hope he's doing well, but
maybe he had a COVID kid, and now he's like, I don't have any time for any of this. I don't have any time for any of that.
But if you're wondering what we're referring to, I mean, Beatdown Boogie, I know a lot of other people do.
There's
this sort
so
of
many
thing,
people that do
but
videos.
they call it cosplay kind of music videos.
Yeah,
and he does he did some really good ones. I think in particular I like his 2013 video. He's got other years that are great, but there's something about the one he did for 2013. Maybe
is that the one with the Kiss song?
Maybe that.
I think so. Yeah, yeah, that one's so good.
That one's a solid one, and maybe that's because that's also the first year I went to Dragon Con, and that's like the first one of his I ever saw. I don't know, but I like that one a lot. So
they're all good though.
They're all good,
and it does. It really it highlights the hotels. It highlights the cosplay. It highlights the vibe. Like, and then he always picked good music to go with it. It just it really puts you in a Dragon Con kind of like vibe, like a mood. Like it just does. I was like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Dragon Con.
So yeah, I had that on for a little while today while we were packing. But
pack those Dragon Con bins. Yeah.
Get them ready.
Yep.
Well, any last things before we wrap this up, Michelle? Any last thoughts before we are at our panel Friday night at Dragon Con?
I was just gonna say, just Friday night, we're gonna be live. Are we just gonna be on digital media track, or are we also going to be on our stuff on our channels?
That's an excellent question, Michelle, and I'm sure if you're wondering where to find us, most likely we will only be available live on the digital media live stream, which
on Twitch, right?
Is on Twitch. We'll be in Galleria 6, right? So we'll be on the main channel. There's like a second digital media.
Yeah, there's two.
One
one for Galleria 6 and one for Galleria 7. And we're going to be in 6, which is what we call like the mainstream, because it has the most panels during a daytime. So
for as far as live, when it actually happens, that's probably all we'll be on. I don't know that I'll have this set up there to stream us here to our YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
Maybe that'll happen. Maybe we'll see, but I would say most likely not. Obviously we'll be recording the episode, and then that'll be on our podcast feed and such after the fact. But if you want to watch us live, go check out the DC Digital Media Twitch accounts, and we'll be on there. 7 p.m. Friday night.
7 o'clock.
And yes, again, if you are actually at the convention, we would love to have you.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good time.
Come to the room. Come hang out with us.
Hang out.
It'll be fun. It'll be nice.
And yes, I'm super excited about Bobby coming out to con for the first time. And I look forward to showing him around. And I know he's going to enjoy it. I hope he enjoys it, but I know he's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to seem like oh, he's gonna love it, like just like being egotistical. But I'm
No,
like, he's
it's
gonna
not
have
for
a great
everybody.
time.
Like, but we know him, and I think he'll have a great time.
He's gonna have a great time. He's gonna be like, that was fun. I think my hope is that, because I get it, like he's in California. It's like we can't always go to California for like Comic Con all the time, and he's not gonna be able to come out here to Dragon Con in Atlanta all the time. But I hope that he enjoys it enough to go, I could see doing Dragon Con every other year or every third year, and making it like part of his like rotation of like, I could do this like every like 2 or 3 years, kind of like you and I do when we go to California. And I'm hoping that is like, I'm hoping that he's going to enjoy it to a level where he's going to be like, yep, I think I want to try to make it like every other year, every third year. That's my hope, that he'll enjoy it that much.
Right.
But I know he's going to be happy with it.
Agreed. But yeah, with that, we are going to wrap things up. We would love to hear back from all of you that are listening and watching. If you're watching us here on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, hit that like button and the bell icon to be notified whenever we post any videos or go live in the future. You can also reach out to us on Instagram and X/Twitter at Flickr_effect. We'd love to hear from you on there as well. With that, I'm Dave Lott.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening and watching, everybody. Bye-bye.